So for this assignment I chose to do a 2D platform game. The aim of the game is to collect points and finish the level in the least amount of time. Enemies are present around all the map, and the user has to be careful to avoid them. In total, the player will have 3 lives, and the game has a timer set to 180 seconds. When the timer reaches 0, the game will automatically restart from the beginning. The game has 4 main different areas. The start screen, a static screen where the user can input his name, and then there's the start button to start the game. The main scene, where the user will be playing. The scene is divided into 2 parts. There's the area where there are the enemies and everything, and then there's a part where there's a platform which takes you up to the upper area. This upper area is like a bonus game. It's in the same scene, but there are less enemies, more coins to collect. And then there's the winning screen, when the player wins the game. And there's the time up screen. The time up screen is a static screen. And then there's a timer, and when the timer reaches 0, it will start the game. For my sample pack, I chose samples which are upbeat, since the game is a time constrained game. I want to do something which is upbeat and fun, since it's a cartoonish game. The sample has fast tempo. So I started by creating these categories. I imported all the samples I have, and for the first section, they're almost the background for each screen, and then I have the background for the upper level, the bonus area, and then I did a danger zone sound. This will be on the enemies, so when the player is near an enemy, he will hear a different sound, a more dramatic sound, and he will know there is an enemy near him even before he sees him. For the MIDI sound, I created on the danger zone sound. For 3 of these sounds I have here, I used the same sample and gave it effects to change it almost completely, but keeping the same tempo and beat. So this will be the game background. Then I changed it when the player goes to the bonus level. It has a faster beat as well, as there in the upper area there will be no enemies, and he can go faster and he can collect a lot of coins. And then for the danger area, I applied the same sample. I converted it to a melody MIDI. Then I put the Canadian boards to change it completely, since it's a danger zone. I want it to be more dramatic than fast-paced, like the upper area. And the sound sounded like this. It's more dramatic, but that was too much. So I added the chords. So although it is dramatic, still it has the beat, like all the other samples. Then I took the same sample once again and I applied the VST here. I try to find the rhythm which is even more dramatic than the other one, and in fact I prefer this one than the other one since it's for the danger zones. This one sounds better. I left these as well, so I preferred it, and I had to change some of these settings until I reached the sound that I wanted. After I finished these, I exported all these sounds to be prepared to import into Fmod. Then I started working on the other samples on the sound pack. I did a sound for the coins when the player hit a coin, a sound for the river when the player walks near the river, and this is the platform sound, the platform which takes you up to the bonus area. So on the coin sound, as I applied the EQ8, I started to move through the frequencies, and there was a particular sound which I didn't like. So apply the filter to reduce it as much as possible. The river sound, the sample I found sounded more like rough C than a river. So I applied the Q3 and I increased the gain and played around with the frequencies until I reached what I wanted. Without the Q8, it sounded like rough C and rain at the same time, but not a river. And like this, it's more the last sound I have here is the platform sound. I applied the Q8 to remove some sounds which I didn't like. For example, if you increase this one, it has a sound like the wind, and I try to remove it completely. And then I applied the parallel as well. With the parallel compression, I managed to create more depth to sound instead of the squeaky. I reduced the threshold to reduce the strength of the compressor. And then I reached this final sound, which I think it is good. I exported these samples as well, and then imported everything into Fmod. In Fmod, I created the bank, first of all, and I named it as the game. I created events for not all the sounds I have, the ones I needed. Then I started from the main scene. I created 2 loops on the background. The background is repeating, and I tried to make a loop. Then I added the coin sound here. I added the parameter for the coin. Here I have the volume from 0 to 10. And then I have this for the float. So when I start the sample, I did this loop to keep on looping in this one. Then when I change the parameter value, if it the value is greater than 0.5, it jumps to the other loop when there is a coin. If it stays greater than 0.5, it will continue doing the loop. If it goes down, it goes straight back to the other loop. Loops in Fmod, I think they are the most important thing. As Fmod allows you to create sound, especially for a small game like the one I'm doing. I could have inserted all my samples in one, but all the samples have to be looped in a very good way, because with the loop it's not seamless. You can't jump from one section to another without and here I could have created more regions, more loops, more parameters, and even more samples. And even if I wanted to change from danger zone to normal zone, I could have edited in here. Since my game is small, I don't have much, but for the danger, I added a container, and I was going to use both of the danger music samples I did, and then set them to random with the dice, but before I was putting everything in a file to do the CD this morning, and it seems like Fmod was still open and some things disappeared. Okay. Then I build these in the bank, assign to bank. Then I built the bank. I went into Unity. I downloaded the Fmod. In here, then I started adding the emitters and parameter readers to set my sounds. This is the start screen. When it plays the start background, which I created. I put a sound event emitter here. The event will play on object start. It will stop on object destroy. This is the name of the event from Fmod. And since it will start with the scene and stop with the scene, it doesn't have any parameters. Then in the main scene, I did the same thing with the parameters and everything, but I had a problem with this scene because my player is not initiated in the scene. It's a prefab and it initiates after. And the problem was I was putting the emitter on the player prefab. In here. And I also tried with the parameter trigger. But the problem is Fmod or Unity Fmod did not recognize the player that was initiated from the player prefab. I tried to change the name because when the player is initiated, the name is player clone, and I thought maybe it was the name the problem, but I changed it from the script so the name would be player, and it didn't work. I removed all the emitters in the scene and I started everything from script, and it didn't work as well. Then I tried to I put an empty object here, and when I initiate the player, it initiates as a child of this object. So the emitter I would put it on this one, on the player parent, so it would be in the scene. But it was kind of working, but since the player parent is the parent and the player is the child, the parent did not move 100% with the child. Sometimes it did, and sometimes it stayed in the same place, so all the sounds were going crazy because the values of the parameters did not change, and sometimes they did, and so I had to switch everything off. So in this scene, the only sound that works is the background. And I think that is the only one I applied because even for the river, I wanted to be a constant sound because the river is always there, but I wanted to change the value parameter. I didn't want the river to be heard from the start, but since the parameters didn't work, I decided to remove and switch them off. I just put the background on the main camera, and that's it.